So let's discuss about the variables and type of variables. Okay. And if the time permit, we'll be discussing about the Java data type and the reserved keyword we have in the Java. In the previous video, we have already discussed about the constructor and type of constructor. Okay, and we have discussed about the classes on object. Okay, if you guys have not gone through the video, we can go through it. I will put the link in the description. So, what is variables? Okay, variables in Java is act like a container. Okay, container we can treat. We have some bucket. Okay, bucket is the container. There we'll put some water in the bucket. That water is called a values. Okay, that we assign in the container. So variable is kind of the name given to the memory location. Okay, and variable value can be changed on the execution time or anything. So if the variable is the name given to the memory location, if any operation is done on the variable can affect the memory's location. So if you want to use some variable in your program, before using it, you have to declare it. Okay. And how you can declare the variables? Okay. We need two things to declare the variable. One is the data type. Okay. Like what type of value we want to store in these variables. Okay. Either it is integer value, character value, some kind of decimal value, some kind of Boolean values. Okay. Based on that, we will be giving the type. Okay. That is called the data type. Okay. And we have the variable name. Okay. Variable name, or we can say as an identifier. Okay. We may assign some values or we may not assign. So this is the example. Assume int is the data type we have. Okay. And age is the variable name. Okay. And we are assigning 20. Okay. So for the int, they are taking some storage values. Okay. In the memories. Okay. And for that storage, they are assigning the values as 20s. Okay. So if you want to access the 20s from the memories, we will be using the age to access it. Okay. So we can say that age is kind of a reference variable to access this memories location values. Okay. So mainly we have three kind of variables. Okay. And these are very important topic we have in the most of the interview. They will be asking about the what is instance variable and what is static and local. So this local variable, instance variable, static variable, we'll be discussing in the uh, coming video. Okay, in the details. Okay. So as we know, we have the data type and the variable's name. Okay. To declare any variable. So what is data type? How many data type we have in the Java? Okay, and how we can declare the data type here. So data type is a kind of some attribute that tells your computer, okay, how to interpret the values. Okay, like if you will declare the data type as int, okay, we have to assign the integer values only. You cannot assign the character here. You cannot assign the floating values here. Okay, it will throw the exception. So we are telling the computer like age is integer value, and whatever the operation and whatever the value they will be assigning, that should be the integer. Okay, other values is not allowed. Okay, so how the computer will interpret these values? Okay, based on the data type. Okay, so we have mainly two kind of data type. One is primitive data type. Primitive data type is kind of the predefined data type that Java give us. Okay, through that we can do the things. Okay, and they have some specific size also. Okay, so we can store the data till this size only. Okay, a non-primitive data type is opposite to primitive data type. It's not a predefined data type. Okay, it is created by the user. Okay, not by the Java. Okay, so primitive data type also we can call them as a reference type or object type or the class type. Okay. And for example, the primitive data type we have a string, arrays, classes, interface. These are the primitive data type. Non-primitive data type we have in the Java. So we call the non-primitive data type as a object class type. Okay. So as we have discussed in the previous video in the Java, we treat everything as object. Okay. But for primitive data type, we are not calling them as a object. Okay. But for primitive data type, we are calling them as a object type. So these are the exception, like int, float, doubles. We don't have in these are not object type. Okay. So sometimes we call the Java is not 100% object oriented programming language because of this primitive data type. But we have alternative for this primitive data type that we have the wrapper classes, okay, that we'll be discussing in the coming video. So we have, these are the primitive data type we have, okay, and these are the non-primitive data type example. So primitive data type mainly can be numeric data type or non-numeric data type. In the non-numeric data type, we have the Boolean. There we can store the values true and false, okay. And we have some character type where we can store the character. In the numeric data type, we have mainly two data type, one in integer and float. Okay. Integer, we have these data type byte, short, int, and long. Okay. Based on your requirement, you can use this data type. Okay. And float or decimal values, we can store either in the double, in the float and double. Okay. Based on your requirement and how many size you need, you can choose any of them. So these are the primitive data type, and it's defined by the Javas. Okay, it's not a user-defined data type. Okay, non-primitive data type, user can define their data type. Okay, and they can perform the operation accordingly. So these are the total 8 primitive data type we have. Okay, and some small description: what is the default value, what is the size they can take, and what is the values format they can store. Okay, and what is the range. You can go through it will be very useful when you are declaring some variable and how much memories they can occupy. Okay, so we have discussed about the data type. Okay, here, and other things is the variables. Okay, variable we call them as literals also. Okay, so what is literals? Okay, and we have some rule to define the literals. Okay, we can give any name. Okay, as per your requirement. Okay, like if we want to store the age. Okay, we have given the variable name age. Okay, if we want to declare some counter variable, we have given the counter or count. Okay, so you can declare the variable name anything. Okay, but we should follow some of the rules to declare the variables. And variables is also, variable name is also called as literals. So we will understand what is literals. Okay, in very vague work, literal is nothing but kind of some identifier. Okay, with literal can be anything, either it is a class name or method name or variable name. Okay, so anything can be the literals. Okay, so here we have some code as sniffed. Okay, we have written public static main classes, we have main method, and we are declaring some of the variables and assigning some values. Okay, so please check and let us know how many literals how many identifier we have out here. Okay, and so we know class name can be the identifier. So main test is the identifier, and method name is the identifier. So main method, this main is also identifier. Variable name, args and int a is the variable name. So these are the identifier we have. So we have the rule to define this identifier, like class name or method name or the variable's name. Okay, how we can define it, or what are the name we can give it. Okay, so literal any character is allowed. Okay, so mainly the allowed character is either alphabet, small or capital. Okay, we can give, or we can give the digit also. Okay, or the some two special character is allowed. One is this dollar sign, other one is underscore. Okay, other than that nothing is allowed. Okay, you cannot give anything in the variable name other than these things. Okay, so if we are giving Greek at the rate, okay, at the rate is not allowed because only two special character is allowed, special symbol is allowed. Okay, so these are the invalid identifier. Okay, so other rule is identifier should not start with the digit. Okay, so if you are starting the identifier with 1, 2, 3, it is not valid identifier. Okay, now Java identifier is the case sensitive. If you are writing something in the smaller and capital, both are different. Okay, there is no limitation of the length of the identifier. You can give any length. Okay, so and we cannot give the reserve keyword as an identifier. Okay, like while we have given, while is the reserve keyword. Okay, so this is not the valid identifier. Okay, so some of the example for valid identifier or invalid identifier is given here. Okay, so valid identifier, if you see my variable is start with some of the uh, uh, character. Okay, alphabet. Okay, and we don't have any other